Hello everybody, welcome you to the session of critical reasoning 2. Like in the last session we studied about what exactly is critical reasoning, what is an argument, what are its components, and the two types of questions which are inference and assumption. Today we are going to further do the other two types, which are weaken, strengthen the argument and resolve the paradox. Now, there are obviously many questions, and one of those common kind of critical reasoning questions are the strengthening and the weakening questions. These questions basically present an argument, and then as test takers, you need to identify which is that answer choice that, if at all would be true, would either weaken or strengthen the given argument. So they are generally phrased and they look like these. Which one of the following, if true, most likely strengthens the argument? Which one of the following, if true, most seriously undermines the statement above? So undermines is weakening and strengthens obviously is supporting. How should we approach strengthen and weaken questions? So first we need to know what to strengthen and weaken, right? So we need to identify the main conclusion of the argument. Once I have identified the main conclusion, now you also must be wondering, conclusion, so are we supposed to find the conclusion? No. The main conclusion will be explicitly, which means clearly stated in the paragraph. So we should not in any way attempt to derive the conclusion. More often than not, the main conclusion is either stated in the beginning or towards the end of the passage. So once we have identified the main conclusion, then we try to mentally predict if this is the conclusion, then what can either lift it up, that is support, or what can bring it down, that is weaken. And we evaluate my options from that point of view or that prediction. Your accuracy depends mainly on how clearly you found out the main conclusion, so that is very important. Common trap answer choices include. Now, what are trap answer choices? Trap answer choices are the ones wherein you can make errors and get trapped by the trickster. So, a statement that does the opposite. Basically, a strengthened argument questions can have options that clearly weaken it. So, you should not select that. And a weakened question can have, a supporting argument or supporting answer. So, don't do that. Don't select such questions. A statement with information which is not relevant to the argument. So your information is out of context, it's irrelevant, and hence do not mark the same as well. A statement that requires additional facts to have value. So if you have data inadequate or something like that, these options are supposed to be rejected. Now, when it comes to assumptions, we say you should not use strong language and extreme languages. But when we talk about weaken and strengthen, we should use strong languages or sweeping words, because obviously they're sweeping words, they have more power to strengthen or weaken something. So these are my words: only, the most, extremely, all. They've also specified the reason that extreme answers will have a more powerful weakening or strengthening effect on assumptions. Let's see one example. Farmers in the north have observed that heavy frost is usually preceded by a full moon. They are convinced that the full moon somehow generates the frost. Right? This is my statement. Which of the following, if true, would weaken the farmer's conviction? So these are my options. What is the farmer's conviction? So what is my main idea or the main conclusion is that they're convinced that full moon observes the frost or generates the frost. Now I need to weaken this, which means I need to prove the opposite, that full moon does not generate, maybe some other thing. So it is the second one. Second one says absence of cloud cover cools the ground, which causes frost. Now obviously, as I said, we need to prove that the full moon does not generate the frost. So we have deviated it to another thing. We have said that full moon caused the frost. That was my conclusion. My strategy was that if I have to weaken this, we need to attack the belief that full moon causes the frost. So option B is the one that explains that it's not the full moon, but it's the absence of cloud cover that caused the temperature to fall and caused the frost. And the farmers mistook it to be the full moon. So this was weakened and strengthened. Now we move on to the paradox. To resolve the paradox or explain the discrepancy, basically these are the questions which juxtapose two facts that are seeming in conflict with one another, and it seems that both at the same time cannot be possible, right? So it is, they are such that both of these cannot be possible at the same time. So we need to provide an explanation as to how, you know, uh, how can it be possible that these two seemingly contradictory or paradoxical facts can be present? So these are essentially give reason question. So don't think that you have to think of an answer choice of your own, huh, guys. That's not what you're supposed to do. So you do not have to come up with a brilliant explanation of your own. The answer choices are going to be given to you. All you need to do is reconcile the facts and think as to how these two information can be there, both be true and can be given it together. These questions are very easy to identify. Let's see a typical question. Which one of the following, if true, resolves the apparent discrepancy? So you have the word discrepancy. Which one of the following, if true, most helps to explain the surprising phenomena? Right? Which one of the following, if true, resolves the paradox? So whenever you see words like paradox, discrepancy, explain, give reason, then you should know that these are paradox wala questions. Now how to solve? What are the steps? Like in the strengthen weaken, we had to identify what to strengthen, what to weaken. Similarly, here we need to find out what to resolve. So what is the paradox or the discrepancy? Should not predict the answer. Do not try to predict the answer. Instead, go to the options. And why we don't predict? Obviously, there can be a lot of things, a lot of facts that describe or explain the paradox. So you don't need to look for one of those. You should just go to the options and take the one that explains it the best. And when you take one option, make sure that the other options are not better explanations. Obviously, they should be weaker in some respect. Let's see an example. Industry reports show that less people went to the movies this year than last year. However, the film industry made more money this year than last year. Obviously, when I say that less people went to the movies this year than last year, then how can I say that film industry made more money? People are not going, but still it is making more money this year. So seemingly contradictory. So which one of the following helps us to resolve the paradox? So these are my options. And my answer is the third one. So let us try to understand how. It says the movie industry made record profits on DVD sales that more than compensated for lower ticket sales. So people did not, go to the movies, but they bought DVDs, right? Same is the example right now when we are facing this pandemic. So people are not going because the theaters are closed, but still the industry is making money, right? Why? Because they're selling it on OTT platforms, so people are buying the subscriptions, and that's how they have shifted their way of showing things, right? So it is the third one. Thank you so much, guys. Please study well and please do the concepts.